A sealed rock slab slides open. Dust swirls in the torchlight, deep underground. This tomb hasn't been touched in 2,600 years, but the metal inside glows. It looks like something from tomorrow. What if our history of technology is totally upside down? Hidden beneath central Italy lies a chamber. It sits beneath the rise of Rome. The tools inside challenge every textbook. The alloys don't make sense. The architecture shouldn't exist. How did this civilization achieve this? Why was it erased? What does it mean for our timeline of human progress? A rock-carved chamber sealed since the 7th century BC holds an engineering secret. Archaeologists weren't ready for this discovery. But will we ever understand it? They found an impossible alloy. The discovery machinery will blow your mind. What they found next doesn't fit our timeline. Stay with us. Millions of years of history might need rewriting. The sun rises over a rocky plateau. This is San Giuliano. It sits 70 kilometers northwest of Rome. A team from Baylor University has been working here for months. They walk dusty paths. They carry tools. Their dreams are filled with ancient chambers. But this region is littered with tombs. Most have already been looted. Treasure hunters took everything centuries ago. Therefore, any intact find is extraordinarily rare. Meet the team. Dr. Davide Zori leads the dig. He's an archaeologist. Barbara Barbaro runs the local heritage office. She protects these sites. Every morning they hike up the hillside. The dust sticks to their clothes. The pressure is real. Heritage offices watch closely. Budgets get smaller every year, but they face budget cuts. Looters prowl at night. Public expectations keep rising. Therefore, when they flagged this rock-cut chamber, they knew the stakes were high. The tomb entrance stands before them. It's a monolithic slab, sealed for thousands of years, carved in rock like a little house. The Etruscans built these chamber tombs. They look like homes for the dead, but there were no records of any previous entry. This one was untouched, still sealed. Therefore, the team approaches with extreme caution. They scan for gases first. Ancient chambers can trap deadly air. They check for structural collapse risk. One wrong move could destroy everything. The tension builds. Let's pause here. The Etruscans were advanced. Everyone knows this. They built cities. They made art. They traded across the Mediterranean. But textbooks say they weren't supposed to possess high-precision metallurgy. They shouldn't have complex structural engineering. Yet, what the team finds threatens that assumption. But admitting that would rewrite the narrative of ancient Italy. Scholars have taught these stories for generations. Therefore, we must explore whether this is an anomaly or a missing link. The moment arrives. The slab slides open slowly. Stone grinds against stone. Inside, they see stone beds. 4 skeletons lie waiting. Over 100 artifacts fill the chamber. There are finely wrought bronze objects. Iron weapons gleam in the light. Delicate silver hair spools rest near the skulls. But one object glints with an alloy unknown in this period. The colour is wrong. The weight feels different. Therefore, we cut to black with one question burning in our minds. What is this metal? And who made it? Dr. Zori leans closer to examine the object. His hands shake slightly. He's seen thousands of artifacts in his career, but nothing like this. Barbara Barbaro watches from the entrance. She whispers to her assistant. Finding an intact tomb is incredibly rare. The words hang in the dusty air. The team photographs everything before touching anything. Protocol demands patience. Heritage law is strict. One mistake could shut down the dig forever, but the glinting object calls to them. It sits among the bronze and iron pieces. Yet it looks different somehow, therefore they mark its position carefully. They take samples of the air around it. They document every angle before anyone touches it. The chamber measures about 3 meters by 4 meters. The ceiling is carved from solid rock. The walls show tool marks. Someone shaped this space by hand, but the precision is stunning. The walls meet at perfect right angles. The floor is level within millimeters. Therefore, someone had advanced techniques or access to tools we don't know about. Night falls over San Giuliano. The team camps near the site. They can't leave it unguarded. Looters have drones now. They watch for new discoveries. But the team is too excited to sleep anyway. They sit around a small fire. They talk in hushed voices about what they saw. Therefore, the conversation turns to possibilities, wild theories, cautious hopes. Dr. Zori holds his notebook. He's sketched the layout. He's noted every detail, but one thing bothers him most. The alloy shouldn't exist yet. Not in 600 BC, not in this part of Italy, not with the technology the Etruscans supposedly had. But it's there, sealed in an untouched chamber, with skeletons dated to the 7th century BC. Therefore, something is wrong with what we think we know. The fire crackles, the stars shine above, and beneath their feet lies a secret that has waited for 2,600 years. Tomorrow they'll begin the real work, the analysis, the testing, the attempt to understand. But tonight they just wonder. What else is waiting in that chamber? What other impossible things will they find? Let's dive into who the Etruscans were. They rose in central Italy between the 9th and 1st centuries BC. They built cities before Rome was powerful. They created art and music. They buried their dead in rock-cut chamber tombs. These tombs were like houses for the afterlife. Families carved them from solid stone. They filled them with everything the dead would need. But almost all tombs by this era were looted. Romans took the gold. Later treasure seekers stole what remained. Therefore, our find is overshadowed by the absence of context elsewhere. We can't compare it to other intact sites. They don't exist. What was the technological baseline for this era? Let's be clear about this. Bronze work was typical. They could cast bronze objects. They understood the mix of copper and tin. Iron use was limited. It was newer technology. Stone carving was rudimentary for large tombs. They had chisels, they had patience, they had time. But inside this tomb are items that match none of these expectations. The precision is too high, the alloys are too complex, the engineering is too advanced. Therefore, we begin to suspect that this culture reached a tech plateau earlier than believed. Maybe much earlier. The excavation team uses modern tools to understand ancient ones. Laser scanning maps every surface. 3D photogrammetry creates digital models. Isotopic metal analysis breaks down the alloys atom by atom. They find microalloys in the bronze. They find precise joins in the metalwork. Stone blocks are fitted with millimeter tolerances, but the lab results conflict with the accepted timeline for such precision. Nothing from this period should show this level of skill. Therefore, the team must decide a difficult question. Is this contamination from later periods? Is it later intrusion into an old tomb? Or is it ancient genius? One object demands special attention. A bronze iron-tipped spear. Beautiful work, deadly design. But it contains an unusual copper-nickel alloy, the kind of mix typically attributed to much later civilizations. Romans used it. Medieval smiths knew it, but its provenance is sealed inside the untouched chamber. The dating is secure. The context is clear. Therefore, the next phase must examine the analytical data more carefully. Something doesn't add up. The team sends samples to 3 different labs. They want confirmation. They need to be sure. Careers depend on getting this right. Days pass, then weeks. The lab reports return. Dr. Zori reads them first. His face goes pale. He reads them again. The alloy contains trace amounts of nickel, also cobalt, in proportions not known for 7th century BC Italy. But the lab cautions that the deposit might have been contaminated. Modern lead shielding could affect the results. Cross-contamination is always possible. Therefore, the team decides to replicate the alloy in a controlled experiment. They'll try to make it using only ancient techniques. If they succeed, it proves the Etruscans could do it. If they fail, something else is going on. The experiment begins in a university lab. They build a small furnace using ancient designs. They mix copper and tin in the right proportions. They add the trace elements found in the sample. They heat it slowly. Ancient furnaces couldn't reach high temperatures quickly. Patience was everything. The metal melts. It glows orange, then yellow, then white hot. But something goes wrong. The mixture won't combine properly. The nickel won't integrate. The alloy fails. Therefore, they try again with modern vacuum smelting. This removes impurities. This allows better mixing. The result is perfect. The alloy matches exactly. But ancient smiths didn't have vacuum chambers. They didn't have pure argon atmospheres. They worked with bellows and charcoal. Therefore, a bigger question emerges. How did the Etruscans do it? Dr. Zori stares at the successful sample. It gleams in his hand. Perfect. Impossible. Barbara Barbaro visits the lab. She sees the results. She understands what it means. If they could make this, she says slowly, what else could they make? The question hangs in the air like smoke. The team returns to the tomb. They need to look more carefully. They need to find evidence of how. But first, they must document everything perfectly. Heritage regulations demand it. Science demands it. Therefore, they prepare for the next phase. The forensic examination of every surface, every tool mark, every detail. So far, we've mapped the site. We've dated the tomb. We've analysed the metal. What we didn't expect is what we found next. An engineering blueprint hidden in plain sight. The forensic process begins. High-resolution scans capture every inch of the tomb walls. The team documents stone joints. They photograph tool marks under bright lights. They note something strange. The stone slabs are cut with incredible precision. They appear machine-worked. The edges are straight. The surfaces are smooth. But the tools found in other tombs from the era are crude. Simple chisels, stone hammers, basic stuff. Therefore, someone must have had advanced techniques, lost to history, forgotten by time. Dr. Zori runs his fingers along a joint. Two stone blocks meet perfectly. No mortar, no gap, just stone on stone. How? He whispers. The team faces a ticking clock. Italian heritage authorities send a warning. Further exposure may degrade the site. The air inside was stable for millennia. Now, oxygen is entering. Moisture is creeping in. The dig must conclude within a restricted time frame, 6 weeks maximum. But the scientists insist on careful lab work. Every sample must be tested properly. Every measurement must be triple-checked. This delays the public reveal. Therefore, stress builds through the team. Will the key evidence be lost? Will time run out before they understand? Barbara Barbaro negotiates for more time. Heritage officials refuse. The rules are the rules. 6 weeks. Therefore, they work faster. Longer hours. Night shifts. Then comes a microclimax. A discovery within the discovery. One researcher is scanning the ceiling. She's looking for structural cracks, safety concerns. She finds something else instead. A semicircular groove in the chamber's ceiling lining. Carved deliberately. Aligned with perfect accuracy. She measures the angle. She checks it against astronomical tables. Her hands start shaking. The groove is aligned perfectly with the rising sun at winter solstice. But Etruscan tombs were not previously known to incorporate this level of astronomical alignment. Some showed basic sun awareness. This is different. This is precise. Therefore, the team starts discussing a new possibility. Was this a temple in tomb design? Were these people at a technological peak we never knew about? The implications are staggering. Let's call back to the hook. Remember the object that glinted? The one that started this whole mystery? It's not just an alloy. It's more than that. It's a mirror-polished bronze dish. The surface reflects like glass. But bronze doesn't polish like this. Not normally, but there's more. Under ultraviolet light, residues on the dish fluoresce. They glow green, bright green. The pigments show intentional illumination design. Someone made this dish to glow in certain light, but the residue doesn't match any known pigment of the era. Nothing in the database comes close. Therefore, the narrative shifts in our minds. This isn't just a tomb, it's a lab, an observational platform, a statement. These people were doing something, creating something, testing something. But what? The team works through the night. They measure everything again. They cross-check their data. The solstice alignment is real. The impossible alloy is real. The fluorescent pigments are real. Therefore, everything they thought they knew is wrong. As dawn breaks, they decide to lift one of the burial bedstones. It's a flat slab where a body once rested. Maybe there's something underneath. 4 people strain to move it. The stone weighs hundreds of pounds. Slowly it tilts. Slowly it rises. Beneath it are inscriptions, strange symbols, not the usual Etruscan script. Something different, something they can't read. But there's more. Tool marks on the underside. Patterns that look unlike anything seen in Etruscan valley norms. Dr. Zori photographs every symbol, every mark. His camera clicks constantly. But translation is impossibly slow. Ancient languages take years to decode. They might never decode this one. It could collapse the whole timeline of their understanding. Therefore, they face a hard truth. They might never know what these symbols mean. The knowledge might be lost forever. Barbara Barbaro touches the inscriptions gently. Someone carved these, she says. Someone with skill, someone with purpose. The team stands in silence. The weight of history presses down. 2,600 years of silence. And now they've broken it. But with each answer comes 10 new questions. The chamber grows cold. The sun rises outside. Another day begins. They realized that everything we knew about the Etruscans might be missing a chapter. An important chapter. Maybe the most important chapter. But can they prove it? Next, we'll see storylines collide. Stolen knowledge, lost technology, cultural assimilation. The truth is coming, but so are the obstacles. Multiple storylines collide now. The archaeologists work in the tomb. Heritage police patrol above ground. Looter threats are real. Material scientists analyze samples in distant labs. Everything converges at once. The scientists detect something shocking. Microalloy signatures in the bronze samples. They match one seen 400 years later in Roman tools. Exactly the same proportions, exactly the same trace elements. But there's no bridge between these periods, no connection, no evidence of transfer. Therefore, a possibility arises that changes everything. The Etruscans developed this tech first. They had it, they used it, and it was transferred somehow to Rome, perhaps stealthily. Perhaps through conquest, perhaps through trade. But if true, it means Rome inherited rather than invented their metallurgical mastery. The Romans weren't the geniuses, they were the thieves, or the students. Stakes become personal now. One scientist admits in an interview that he feels like Indiana Jones, chasing a ghost civilization, chasing shadows. But funding hangs in the balance. The university wants results. Donors want headlines. Heritage offices want protection plans. But a heritage bureaucrat threatens to shut the dig unless media announcements are made. Public money demands public information. That's the rule. Therefore, tensions mount between truth-seeking and public spectacle. Science needs time. Politics needs speed. Dr. Zori argues with officials on a conference call. We need to be sure, he insists. We can't announce until we're certain. But they don't care about certainty. They care about deadlines. Therefore, the pressure becomes unbearable. Critical new information arrives. Carbon-14 dating plus stratigraphy confirm the tomb's date. Around 600 BC, plus or minus 20 years. The date is secure. No question, no doubt. But the tech inside implies a date 300 years later. The alloys, the precision, the astronomical alignment. Therefore, either the dating system is wrong or the civilization leapfrogged others somehow. They jumped ahead. They achieved what shouldn't be possible. Which answer is correct? The team debates late into the night. Coffee grows cold. Tempers run hot. Everyone has a theory. No one has proof. Then, new characters enter the story. People pushed to breaking point. A messenger arrives running. Out of breath. Security has detected something. The tomb site perimeter has been breached by looter drones, small flying cameras, looking for artifacts, looking for treasures to steal. But the site is deeply underground, sealed. How is anyone accessing it? Therefore, they face a scenario that terrifies them. Someone knows about this tech. Someone sees value in it. Someone wants it. Who? Why? How do they know? Security increases. Guards patrol constantly. But drones are small, hard to spot, hard to stop. The team works faster, more urgently. Time is running out. In the lab, miles away, something incredible happens. A major turning point. The replication of the alloy succeeds, finally. But only when modern methods use vacuum smelting, temperature control, pure atmospheres. The ancient smelter evidence in the tomb shows no such system. Just a simple furnace, charcoal, bellows, basic tools. But the Etruscan process recorded in tool marks and slag suggests they somehow did it differently. They achieved the same result through a different path. Therefore, the puzzle explodes outward. Did they have lost knowledge? Did someone supply it? Were they smarter than we think? Or is something else going on? Dr. Zori receives the lab report by email. He reads it 3 times. He doesn't understand. He can't understand. "This shouldn't be possible," he mutters. Barbara Barbaro sits beside him. She reads over his shoulder. She sees the numbers. She sees the conclusions. "But it is possible," she says quietly, "because they did it." The logic is simple, brutal, undeniable. If the alloy exists, they made it. If they made it, they had the knowledge. If they had the knowledge, our timeline is wrong. Simple as that. The weight of history shifts. Textbooks need rewriting. Museums need new labels. Teachers need new lessons. But first, they need to finish the dig. They need to document everything. They need to protect the site. Therefore, they push forward despite exhaustion, despite doubt, despite fear. In the next segment, we'll hit the peak of tension. The implications will explode outward. Lives will change. History will bend. What does this mean for human history? For our understanding of progress? For our view of the past? Stay with us. The answers are coming. The team uncovers something that shouldn't exist. Micro-inclusions in the bronze alloy. Tiny particles of rare earth elements. These require specific temperatures to incorporate. They require chemistry seemingly unavailable until medieval Europe. But all associated furnaces in the tomb area show no trace of those temperatures. The slag is wrong. The residue doesn't match. Nothing suggests they reached the necessary heat. Therefore, the logical conclusion splits into 2 impossible options. Either the artifact is a later intrusion. Someone put it there after the tomb was sealed, or ancient technology was far ahead of its time. Both options break reality as we know it. Emotional stakes rise to the surface. One archaeologist, Dr. Sarah Chen, works late in the lab. She's been studying the samples for weeks. She whispers to a colleague, barely audible on the recording. If this proves to be the case, it means Rome inherited rather than invented their metallurgical mastery. But such a claim upends national narratives. Italy's pride rests on Rome, the glory, the innovation, the empire. Therefore, the team must choose between publishing and being denounced, or shelving the find and living with silence? Which truth is more important? Personal truth or political peace? Final obstacles arise suddenly. Without warning, a power failure hits the lab, all the lights go out, backup generators kick in. But for 10 seconds, the data could have been lost. Computer screens went black. Dr. Zori's heart pounds. Years of work, months of analysis, all stored digitally. But the systems restart. The data is safe, barely. Therefore, they realize how fragile this knowledge is, how easily it could vanish. At the tomb site, heritage alarms trigger, lockdown protocols activate, a safety concern about structural stability. The chamber must be sealed immediately. No one can enter, but time is short. Evidence must be salvaged. Scans must be completed. Therefore, we see a frantic night session. The team races against time. Scanning equipment runs constantly. Backup hard drives fill up. Team exhaustion shows on every face. Stakes are at their highest point. Dr. Zori works 36 hours straight. His eyes are red. His hands shake from too much coffee. But he won't stop. Can't stop. Barbara Barbaro brings him food. "You need to rest," she says. "I'll rest when it's safe," he replies. Then comes the major reversal, the moment that changes everything. One of the scientists is documenting the burial bed again, double-checking measurements. She finds an inscription on the side facing the wall. Hidden. Easy to miss. The script is unusual, very unusual. It matches writing that was thought to emerge only centuries later. Advanced notation. Mathematical symbols. Technical diagrams. This implies the Etruscans may have had writing and technical notation far earlier than believed, far more advanced than assumed. But the script is damaged. Water seeped in at some point. Erosion blurred the marks. The message is ambiguous. Therefore, the team debates authenticity through the night. If real, the timeline revision is massive, huge, world-changing. If fake, they've wasted months. They've built hopes on nothing. The pressure is unbearable. All storylines converge now at dawn. Above the tomb, a meeting happens. Heritage authorities arrive. Scientists gather. Site security stands ready. They must decide what to reveal, how to announce it, when to tell the world. Everyone knows that what they release will create global ripples. News organizations will cover it. Scholars will debate it. The public will judge it. But just as they decide to reveal the data, something terrible happens. Looter drone imagery leaks online. Someone captured video of part of the chamber. Low quality, shaky, but real. It's spreading fast. Social media, news sites, archaeology forums. Therefore, the race is now public and urgent. They've lost control of the narrative. The information is out there, half-true, incomplete, dangerous. Dr. Zori watches the leaked video on his phone. His face hardens. Years of careful work, now exposed, rushed, misrepresented. "We have to announce it," he says. "Now, before misinformation spreads." Barbara Barbaro nods. "We tell the truth, all of it. Let the world decide." The team prepares for the press conference. Notes are written, images are selected, evidence is compiled. We're headed into the climax now. The moment of truth. What did they really find? What does it mean for history? The answer is coming. Hold on. The holy shit moment arrives. The replication experiment fully succeeds. After weeks of trying, after countless failures, the team finally reproduces the ancient alloy perfectly. But more than that, they discover something incredible. The blueprint of the tomb shows a built-in metallurgical kiln chamber. It's disguised as a burial bed's base, hidden in plain sight. The technology existed in this tomb, right here, right under their feet. But this forces a rewriting of the pre-Roman tech timeline. Everything we thought, everything we taught, wrong. Therefore, the team publicly announces to the gathered press. Cameras flash, microphones thrust forward. Dr. Zori speaks clearly. We found technology centuries ahead of its time. The words hang in the air, heavy, true, terrifying. Resolution of the central mystery comes now. The tomb contained not only burials, but a workshop ritual complex. The metal objects were prototypes. They were ritual vessels. They were experiments. The Etruscans were simultaneously spiritual and highly technical. They believed in the afterlife. They also believed in progress, innovation, discovery. But for millennia, the narrative portrayed them as lesser industrially. Rome was the genius. Rome was the innovator. The Etruscans were just the predecessors. Therefore, we must update textbooks. We must change museum displays. We must alter cultural memory itself. The work begins now. Emotional catharsis washes over the team. Barbara Barbaro tears up during the press conference. She's the local heritage director. She spent her life protecting these sites. She says through her tears, "These remains speak for a people silenced by time and empire." The words cut deep, true, painful, beautiful. But the triumph is tempered by knowledge, knowledge that so much was lost, so many tombs were looted, so much technology disappeared. Therefore, viewers feel both awe and melancholy, joy at discovery, sorrow at loss. It's complicated. History always is. Payoff for all the foreshadowing comes now. Remember the alloy dish that glinted in the opening? We see it now, up close, clear, beautiful. The mirror-polished surface reflects perfectly. The fluorescent pigments glow under UV light. The craftsmanship is stunning. Remember the inscription we found? Partially decoded now. Mathematical notation. Process instructions. A recipe for metal making. Remember the stone joints measured? They're precise to the millimeter. Proof of advanced tools, advanced understanding. All the earlier teases become reality now. The pieces fit together. The picture is clear. But the press release warns that looter interest is now high. Very high. The leaked drone footage made sure of that. Treasure hunters know about the tech. They want it. Therefore, the story is both resolved and open-ended. We know what was found. We don't know if it's safe. Security measures increase. Guards, cameras, sensors. The tomb is sealed again, this time with modern locks, modern protection, closing the promise we made in the opening. We asked 3 questions. What did they build? Who did it? And why did it disappear? We now answer clearly. They built advanced metallurgical devices, precision tools, astronomical observatories, chemical laboratories, all disguised as tombs. The names may remain unknown. We might never know individual artisans, individual scientists, individual dreamers, but the legacy lives on. In the objects, in the evidence, in the changed timeline, the final image appears on screen. The sealed slab. Closing once again, protecting once more. It invites future explorers, future scientists, future discoverers. Therefore, viewers leave with a powerful feeling. We just witnessed history rewriting itself in real time before our eyes. Dr. Zori stands before the sealed tomb. His work here is done, for now. We opened a door, he says softly. But there are more doors, more tombs, more secrets. Barbara Barbaro stands beside him, exhausted, proud, hopeful. The past isn't dead, she says. It's just sleeping, waiting for us to find it. The sun sets over San Giuliano. Golden light bathes the rocky plateau. Shadows lengthen. Night approaches. But beneath the ground in the darkness lies proof. Proof that our ancestors were smarter than we knew, more capable than we believed, more worthy of respect than we gave them. The tomb is sealed. The secret is revealed. The story is told. But this is just the beginning. What happens now? Why does it matter to us today? How does this change what we think we know? The resolution is next. The reflection, the meaning. Stay with us. The immediate aftermath unfolds quickly. The excavation team publishes their findings in peer-reviewed journals. The data goes public. Scientists worldwide examine the evidence. The global press circuit begins. Interviews, documentaries, news segments. Dr. Alphi Zori appears on morning shows. Barbara Barbaro speaks at conferences. The site is now under enhanced protection. Cameras monitor every approach. Guards work in shifts. The Italian government declares it a protected national treasure. But funding is still uncertain. Heritage budgets are tight. Political priorities shift constantly. Therefore, the Heritage Agency prioritizes digital archiving. They create 3D models of everything. Virtual tours, online databases. If the site is damaged, at least the data survives. Where are they now? Let's check in with the people who made this happen. The lead scientists reflect on what it felt like, holding a dish forged in 600 BC, touching metal with impossible chemistry, standing in a chamber sealed for millennia. Dr. Zori describes it in an interview. I felt connected to someone across time. Someone I'll never meet. Someone who thought like I think, who wondered like I wonder. The local community in San Giuliano feels something too. Pride, ownership, connection. Their ancestors did this. Their land holds this. Their history matters. But they also worry about tourism damage. Too many visitors destroy sites. Footsteps erode floors. Breath adds moisture. Touch degrades surfaces. Therefore, there's a push for sustainable protection and education. Virtual access instead of physical crowds. Digital preservation instead of mass tourism. It's a balance, sharing versus protecting. Opening versus guarding. Broader implications ripple outward. This find shifts our understanding of pre-Roman Europe. Technology may have developed along parallel tracks, not one linear path, not Rome inventing everything, multiple cultures, multiple innovations, multiple genius moments. Our textbooks may be biased by Roman triumphalism. The winners write history. Rome won. Therefore, Rome's story dominates. But the losers had stories too. The conquered had knowledge. The defeated had technology. But rewriting textbooks is slow and contested. Publishers are cautious. Scholars are skeptical. Change takes time. Therefore, educational platforms, museums, and digital media must adapt faster. Online resources update quickly. Museums can change displays. Teachers can share new information. The change is happening. Slowly, surely. Emotional reflection deepens the meaning. The video draws parallels for viewers. We live in an era of AI and discovery. We think we're special. We think our technology is unique, but 2.5 millennia ago, these people also innovated. They pushed boundaries, they asked questions, they solved problems. Their legacy whispers across time, a message, a reminder, a challenge. Humans have always been clever, always been curious, always been capable, but curiosity alone isn't enough. Discovery alone isn't enough. Preservation is essential, protection is necessary. Therefore, the final message becomes clear. Respect the past, protect it, learn from it, honor it, call back to the hook one final time. That sealed slab still lies where we found it, massive, ancient, protective. But behind it lies a civilization's secret, a people's pride, a culture's genius. We asked at the beginning a simple question. What if our history is upside down? We answered with evidence, with data, with proof. Maybe it is upside down. Maybe our timeline is wrong. Maybe the ancients were smarter than we thought. But questions remain. They always do. How many more tombs lie sealed? What else is waiting beneath our assumptions? What other chapters are missing from our story? Therefore, viewers are left with one last image. The slab closing, the light fading, darkness returning to the chamber. Words appear on screen, white letters on black. The future of the past is just beginning. The message is simple, profound, true. Humanity's technological story is richer than we knew, older than we believed, more surprising than we imagined. The Etruscans weren't primitive. They weren't simple. They weren't less than us. They were us. Just earlier, just different, just forgotten. Until now, as the credits roll, an overlay text appears, a hashtag, an invitation. Etruscans reborn. What will we discover next? The screen fades to black, the music swells, the story ends, but the questions live on. In our minds, in our hearts, in our dreams. What lies beneath the ground? What secrets wait in darkness? What other impossibilities are just waiting to be possible? The tomb is sealed, the mystery is solved, the truth is told. But history never really ends. It just waits, patient, eternal, ready for the next explorer, the next discovery, the next moment when everything we know changes forever. The end.